Hey folks, Ed here from Brain Pulp TV. It is the Tuesday, as of this filming, following the release of Eldritch Moon. Got the playmat out, which can mean only one thing. That's right, we have product to open up, and today we're going to be opening up a booster box full of Eldritch Moon. Now, each time I do a opening, I keep track of the Mythics. I usually keep track of two other things. I'm going to be somewhat uncreative with one of them. I'm just going to keep track of the foils. That'll be one of the things that I'm going to keep track of. But the other thing I want to keep track of is an uncommon called Blessed Alliance, because I'd really like a playset of that. So I'm hoping between this booster box and the fat pack I'll be opening up in another video, I will end up with a full playset of Blessed Alliance. Okay, so now that we know what we're looking for, I'm just going to open this sucker up. Got my trusty knife. I cut into it and hope not to cut into any of the packs. Okay, and now it's time to get to the packs themselves. Okay, here we go with the first pack. I'm just going to be reading off the uncommons and the rares, as well as the flip cards as well, too, I think. Fiendbinder, actually, no, okay. I swear to God, I'm not going to stop every second time I open a common. But Fiendbinder, I got a chance to play with it. I really, really enjoyed this card. I think I'm going to draft this card a fair amount when I get to draft this in Magic Online, and hopefully even some Paper Magic as well, too. Okay, our first uncommon is Thirsting Axe, Dusk Feaster, Chilling Grasp, and our rare is Harmless Offering. I opened this up in the intro pack. The intro pack, yeah. That's what it's called? Not the intro pack. The pre-release pack. God, couldn't remember what it was. I was planning on getting a playset of this, so I'm happy to get another one. Harmless Offering, for those of you who don't know, is a 3-drop, 2 and 1 red. Sorcery gets you target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. Now, I'm sure I can play around with this in some sort of constructed deck and come up with some sort of fun thing to do. I'm not sure exactly what that is yet, but I'm hoping I'll be able to come up with something a bit clever and maybe make, Travis and Steve's lives a little miserable next time we play. Our flip is Lone Rider for 1 and a white, gets a 1/1 first strike with lifelink. At the beginning of the end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, transform Lone Rider, and it transforms into It That Rides as One. It's got first strike, trample, lifelink. It's a 4/4 Eldrazi horror creature. We've got a Swamp and an Eldrazi horror token. Put the rares right there. Now, for those of you who were just watching this as an opening and are unfamiliar with some of our other videos, we've actually shot our booster box apocalypse. That's when we take a booster box, Travis, Steve, and I, who are the other 2 members of Brain Pulp, split it, we make a sealed 40-card deck from it, and we battle it out in live Paper Magic. So I will put a link somewhere to that so you guys can check that out if you want. Anyways, we have Savage Alliance as our first uncommon, Foul Emissary, Lashweed Lurker, and our rare is Spell Queller. For 1 white and 1 blue, it gets you a 2/3 spirit creature with flash. It's also got flying, and when Spell Queller enters the battlefield, exile target spell with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Spell Queller leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner may cast that card without paying its mana cost. It's a fun little rare to have. And we have Midnight Scavengers. I'm not going to ruin anything with the upcoming Mana Caves, but Midnight Scavengers made quite the appearance in our Paper Magic. So this card I'm sadly more than enough familiar with. So it's a 5-drop, 4 and 1 black gets you a 3/3 human rogue creature. When Midnight Scavengers enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less, or 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Horrible time reading today. Melds with Graph Rats. Now, this has the text for what it melds into. It melds into a 5/6 Eldrazi horror with haste and menace. When Chittering Host enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain menace until the end of turn. It can be crazy good when it actually gets to meld. We have a checklist card and a human soldier token. see what we have. Oh. Our first uncommon is Blood Mist. Rise from the grave. Give no ground. And our rare is... It's a mythic. Excellent. Gisa? Gisa? That's the correct pronunciation, I think, maybe. And Geralf. What an interesting name. It is a 4-drop, 2 and 1 blue, 1 black. Gets you a 4/4 legendary human wizard creature. When GG enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. During each of your turns, you may cast a zombie creature card from your graveyard. Our flip is Villadin Pack Outcast. It is a 4/4 for 5. Werewolf horror creature with trample. My mind froze up there for a second. You can pay 1 red and it gets +1/-1 until the end of turn, or you can pay 7, 5, and 2 red, transform Villadin Pack Outcast, and it transforms into Drone Pack Kindred, which is a 5/7 Eldrazi werewolf. It's got trample. Drone Pack Kindred gets +1/+0 until the end of turn, and I think we all saw it. We also have Gisela the Broken Blade, so another mythic. Wow, this pack was great. It's a 4-drop, 2 and 2 white, gets you a 4/3 legendary angel horror creature. It's got flying, first strike, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you both own and control Gisela the Broken Blade and a creature named Bruna the Fading Light, exile them, then meld them into Brisella Voice of Nightmares. And it's this is the picture part of it, so you can see exactly what kind of crazy-ass thing this turns into, and I would not want to meet this on a blind date. So, yeah, that's pretty nice to end up with a pack that had 2 mythics in it, so couldn't ask for more than that. We've got a wolf token as well, too. It's interesting. I actually put a garbage bin right between my legs here, and I keep throwing the packs by habit over to my side, so the floor is still going to be incredibly messy. As long as I clean it up before my wife gets a chance to look at the mess I've made. Anyways, we have as our first uncommon, Nephalia Academy, Vexing Scuttler, Murder, and our rare is Dark Salvation. XX and black gets you a sorcery. Target player puts X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, then up to 1 target creature gets -1/-1 until the end of turn for each zombie that player controls. And our flip is a Curious Homunculus. For 1 and 1 blue, gets us a 1/1 Homunculus. You can tap it to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 3 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, transform Curious Homunculus into Voracious Reader. A 3/4 Eldrazi Homunculus. It's got prowess. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. A checklist card and another Eldrazi horror. One of the things, since I've been doing these pack openings, I've realized when I'm flipping through the cards or when I'm trying to get to speaking through a card and I can feel like a cough or something coming on, I try so hard to stifle it so I don't do it in the middle of my talking. But I apologize if every once in a while the audio pauses for a second, because it's probably me having to turn my head and not make a disgusting noise directly into the microphone. So, our first uncommon is Ruthless Disposal. We got Clear Shot, Vexing Scuttler, and our rare is Newsgraph Mob. For 4 and 2 black, gets you a 0/0 zombie creature. Newsgraph Mob enters the battlefield with 5 1/1 counters on it. Whenever a player casts a spell, remove a 1/1 counter from Newsgraph Mob. If you do, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Our flip is Extricator of Sin. Sounds like a metal band. It's a 3-drop, 2 and 1 white, gets you a 0/3 human cleric. When Extricator of Sin enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield. Also as Delirium, at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more card types among the cards in your graveyard, transform Extricator of Sin, and it transforms into Extricator of Flesh. A 3/5 Eldrazi horror. Eldrazi you control have vigilance. You can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice a non-Eldrazi creature, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield. Even if you can't flip this, one of the great things about that emerge mechanic is even if you're not able to flip this, this doesn't necessarily go to waste once it hits the battlefield, even though it's just a 0/3, because you can use it towards the emerge cost for another card. So it's kind of an interesting way to play with the card. Of course, you prefer to flip it. We also get a mountain and a spider. Okay, our first uncommon, Geist-Fueled Scarecrow. Fortune's Favor. Ride Down, and our rare is Assembled Alphas. For 6, 5, and 1 red, you get a 5/5 wolf creature. Whenever Assembled Alphas blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, Assembled Alphas deals 3 damage to that creature and 3 damage to that creature's controller. Our flip is Grizzled Angler. For 2 and 1 blue, get a 2/3 human creature. Tap it to put the top 2 cards of your library in your graveyard. Then, if there is a colorless creature card in your graveyard, transform Grizzled Angler into Grizzly Anglerfish. It is a 4/5 Eldrazi fish. You can pay 6. Creatures your opponent control attack this turn if able. Checklist and another horror. I used to think when I was opening up the pre-release kit that the zombie tokens were the most common tokens, but I'm beginning to wonder now if the Eldrazi horrors are actually more common than the zombie ones. And still no Blessed Alliance. Still no Blessed Alliance. We have Fury Blade Vampire, Markov Crusader, Morn Willow, and our rare is Oath of Liliana. Yes, she is now part of the Gatewatch. It is a legendary enchantment for 3, 2 and 1 black. Gets you when Oath of Liliana enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. At the beginning of each end step, if a planeswalker enters the battlefield under your control this turn, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. And we have Smoldering Werewolf as our flip. It is a 3/2 werewolf for 4. That's 2 and 2 red. Gets you when Smoldering Werewolf enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures. You can also pay 4 and 2 red. Transform Smoldering Werewolf into Erupting Dreadwolf. It is a 6/4 Eldrazi werewolf, and whenever Erupting Dreadwolf attacks, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. It can get out of hand really quickly if it's left on the battlefield too long. And another Eldrazi Horde token, which is just further proving my completely baseless hypothesis that those are the most common tokens in Eldritch Moon packs. It's a bit of fluff here, sorry. There we go. It's going to bother me, I don't know why. This is another card I really... This card helped me get Delirium super quick in the game, some of the games that I was playing against Travis and Steve. So Contingency Plan, I'm a big fan of if I'm going for a Delirium type of strategy. We have Savage Alliance, Prying Questions, Geist of the Archives, and Summary Dismissal. For 2 and 2 blue, gets you an instant, exile all other spells, and counter all abilities. Be a nice card to play around with a bit. We have Shrill Howler as our flip. It is a 3-drop, 2 and 1 green, gets you a 3/1 werewolf horror. Creatures with power less than Shrill Howler's power can't block. You can pay 6, 5 and 1 green, transform Shrill Howler, and it transforms into Howling Chorus, a 3/5 Eldrazi werewolf. Creatures with power less than Howling Chorus's power can't block it. Whenever Howling Chorus deals damage to a player, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi horror creature token onto the battlefield. And it looks like we do indeed... Oh, it's our rare foil. Nice. We have Crypt Breaker as our rare foil. For 1 black, you get a 1/1 zombie creature. You can pay 1 and 1 black, tap it, discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, tap 3 untapped zombie creatures you control, draw a card, you lose 1 life. So there is our foil rare. Typically, you usually get one of those in a booster box, so that is our wolf token. Okay, we have Fury Blade Vampire, Faith Unbroken, Gnarlwood Dryad, and another Mythic, Mind's Dilation. For 5 and 2 blue, gets an enchantment whenever an opponent casts his or her first spell each turn. That player exiles the top card of his or her library. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Our flip is Vilden Pack Outcast, which I am 98% sure that we already talked about, so I'm going to go on by it. And we have a Swamp and a Human Soldier token. Haven't noticed any Graph Rats to go with our meld guys, whose name I can't remember. We have Mockery of Nature, which is a cool name for a card. Somberwald Stag, which is a card that I actually quite like. I got to play around with a little bit in Sealed, and it worked out quite well for me. Vampire Cutthroat, and our rare is Coax from the Blind Eternities. For 2 and 1 blue, gets you a sorcery. You may choose an Eldrazi card you own from outside the game, or in exile, reveal that card, put it into your hand. And we have Kessig Prowler. For 1, you get a 2/1 Werewolf Horror, which is, on its own, is pretty nice. And for 4 and 1 green, you transform Kessig Prowler into Sinuous Predator, a 4/4 Eldrazi Werewolf. Sinuous Predator can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Checklist and Spirit Token. I know we got, I think, 3 Mythics so far. I would still like to pull one of the Planeswalkers. That'd be kind of nice. We have another Mockery of Nature. Nephalia Academy. Foul Emissary. And our rare is Collective Effort. For 1 and 2 white, gets you a sorcery. And it has Escalate. To escalate it, tap an untapped creature you control. Pay this for each mode chosen beyond the first. You can choose 1 or more. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment, or put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. We have Tangle Claw Werewolf. I'm not sure if I read this or not, so if I have, I apologize because I'm going to read it again. It is a 4-drop for 2 and 2 green, gets you a 2/4 Werewolf Horror. Tangle Claw Werewolf can block an additional creature each combat. You can pay 7, 6, and 1 green, transform Tangle Claw Werewolf into Fibrous Entangler. It is a 4/6 Eldrazi Werewolf with Vigilance. Fibrous Entangler must be blocked if able. It can block an additional creature each combat. And there's a zombie token. I thought there'd be way more zombie tokens in this. I swear, sometimes I cannot get the packs out of the cards. Opening them up seems fine, but actually extracting them from the pack, the open pack, somehow is very difficult for me at times. We've got Fortune's Favor, Crop Sigil, Drownyard Behemoth, and our rare is Thalia's Lancers. For 3 and 2 white, gets a 4/4 Human Knight with First Strike. When Thalia's Lancers enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a legendary card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. I'm really excited to get a copy of this card. I want to get a playset. I want to play around with it. I also want to do add one of these to a Commander deck, because I think they'd be quite helpful. Tutoring is always really helpful in Commander, so being able to tutor just any legendary card, like not necessarily legendary creature, just any legendary card, I think would be really, really useful. And, oh, this is, okay, yeah, Graph Rats. Of course it wouldn't be in the regular commons. Graph Rats is a 2/1 for 2. 1 and 1 black gets you a rat creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you both own and control Graph Rats and a creature named Midnight Scavengers, that's the one we had before, exile them, then meld them into Chittering Host. And this one should have the picture, I believe. Yes. Chittering Host, which is not a happy looking dude. So, got the checklist card and the wolf token. Okay, next up we have Haunted Dead, Campaign of Vengeance. This is a card I really hope to open up in sealed or a draft at some point, because I think this card could get really crazy. I mean, granted, it's 5 cost, but I think if this were actually hit the board, it's going to be a huge swing. Geist of the Archives, and keep in mind, I'm not a master of sealed or draft, so those are just the opinions of a complete novice. And our rare is Identity Thief. I always like it when they add some sort of clone type shapeshifter to each set. So this one is really cool. It is 2 and 2 blue, gets you a 0/3 shapeshifter. When Identity Thief attacks, you may exile another target non-token creature. If you do, Identity Thief becomes a copy of that creature until the end of turn. Return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. I really, really like the design of this card, and I'm hoping to get a chance to play around with it a bit. We have Cryptolith Fragment. So for 3, you get an artifact. Cryptolith Fragment enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Each player loses 1 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player has 10 or less life, transform Cryptolith Fragment into Aura of Emrakul. It is an Eldrazi Reflection for it's a 1/4 flyer with Death Touch, and whenever Aurora of Emrakul attacks, each opponent loses 3 life. And we have a foil, Stencia Banquet. Almost sure that's how you pronounce that. And a mountain and an Eldrazi Horror. Okay, we have Slayer's Cleaver, Noose Constrictor, Give No Ground, and another Mythic, Mirrorwing Dragon. For 3 and 2 red, you get a 4/5 dragon creature with flying, of course. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that targets only Mirrorwing Dragon, that player copies that spell for each other creature he or she controls that the spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So your opponent cannot use, if they've got creatures on their own side of the board, cannot use typical removal spells, or they can, but it can be disastrous for them as well too. Extricator of Sin, which we've already had, so I'm not going to talk about it, followed by a foil, Extricator of Sin, and I'm still not going to talk about it, but I am going to enjoy the foily goodness and see. Oh yeah, well that's really cool on that side. There's a foil. Excellent. I like the foils. I think the foil look to them, it's quite nice. I know there's problems with certain foils curling, but I've luckily haven't experienced that myself yet. But I'm not a huge collector of foils, so probably someone who has way more foils in their collection has seen that happen more often. Or as well too, those from the vault kits I heard are especially bad for curling. I only have the one, and I don't think I've taken anything out of the box yet. So we have Ruthless Disposal, Blessed Alliance. Finally, we got a copy of Blessed Alliance. So that's 1 for that. Liliana's Elite. And our rare is another Assembled Alphas. And we've already got a copy of that, so I'm not going to read it off again. And we have Graph Rats. We already have that. I'm not going to read that off again. We have an Island and a Spirit Token. Siri and my phone. Okay, Siri. My phone's beside me. It beeped, and I guess Siri picked up my voice and thought I said whatever the hell it is that you need to activate Siri, and it started searching for spirits on my phone. So I'm glad I stopped it before she started talking. Oh, we're gonna have an avalanche of cards over here on the side. I'm just gonna move some stuff over. There we go. Okay, another Nephalia's Academy. Probably pronounced that different every single time I said it. Drogskull Shieldmate. Mercurial Geists, and that is some really, really nice artwork, some very striking artwork to it. And our rare is Providence. For 5 and 2 white, gets you sorcery. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, at the beginning of the first upkeep, your life total becomes 26. Or you can just play it and your life total becomes 26. Not the card to play in Commander. We have Lone Rider. It is one that we already have, so I'm not going to read it off. And an Insect Token. It's going to be interesting by the end of the pack if I can remember whether or not I've read off certain flip cards or not, so bear with me if I end up repeating myself, because I don't have the strongest memory at times. Campaign of Vengeance, excellent, glad to have another copy of that. Thirsting Axe, Ride Down, and our rare is another Mythic, and it's a Planeswalker. Yes, we got Liliana, the Last Hope. For 1 and 2 black gets you a Planeswalker Liliana. It's got a loyalty of 3. Its +1 is up to one target creature gets -1. Sorry, up to one target creature gets -2, -1 until your next turn. 1 second. Sorry, suppressing that. -2 is put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And its big ultimate of -7, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombie creatures you control. So another Mythic. Wow, we're doing really well for Mythics, and it's a Planeswalker, which is awesome. Have Lone Rider, which we've had before. What in the hell is this? This is the second time in this box that we had a Mythic in our rare spot followed by Gisela. Okay, that's absolutely wonderful. Wow, the Mythic count on this box, I don't even know what the total is yet, but I'll know when I do the video. So we've already read Gisela, so we're not going to read it again. We're going to take another quick peek at the crazy, crazy Brizella monstrosity that she'll create with the help of his sister. But yeah, that is really, really great. I'm totally blown away by that. And a zombie token. So we got, I apologize. I can't, for the life of me, remember what her name is. So I do hope I open up a copy of her, but at this point, I think that's going to be super greedy considering the number of Mythics we've been able to open up so far. Waxing Moon. Okay, sorry to stop and talk about a common here, but Waxing Moon is a card where Travis and I were debating. Travis has a werewolf deck with the classic werewolves that flip in the way of whether someone doesn't cast any spells one turn and they flip back if you cast 2 or more. Whereas I was playing around more with the Eldritch Moon werewolves that need a certain amount of mana to flip them. And I thought Waxing Moon was amazingly powerful if you can combine it with those Eldritch Moon werewolves. So that's just an aside. We're sort of debating back and forth whether it's good, whether it's not good. I think it's good. My track record of whether cards are actually good that I think are good is pretty poor, so Travis is probably right in this one. We have Peace of Mind, which I really like. Once again, sorry not to belabor this video any longer. I really like the flavor text for this. Not all minds touched by the Eldrazi turn to raging psychosis. Some simply withdraw from this world into memories of a better one. Mornwillow, Markov Crusader, and another collective effort, which I'm not going to read because I already read it before, and more Midnight Scavengers. A Plains, and a different zombie token. Very nice, very nice. I've also noticed the camera's focus has been stuttering just slightly, ever so slightly. So I will try to keep an eye. I've got a monitor in front of me, so it usually makes it easier for me to tell if something's in focus or not. I will do my best to keep everything in focus as I'm doing the video. We have Haunted Dead. Emma Cruel's influence. Now, is it Emma Cruel or Emma Cool? Or Emma Cruel? I'm going to say it 80 different ways probably, so correct me in the comment section if you like. But yes, Emma Cruel's influence. Scour the Laboratory, or Laboratory, depending on where you live. And our rare is Permeating Mass. For 1 green, you get a 1/3 spirit token. Not token, creature. Whenever Permeating Mass deals combat damage to a creature, that creature becomes a copy of Permeating Mass. This sounds like such a crazy card to play around with, especially in Limited. I can see this card just creating such a ridiculous stalemate if it doesn't get taken care of fairly quickly. And our flip is another Midnight Scavengers and a foil Eldritch Evolution. Now, this is a card that I had really high hopes for when I saw it in previews. To get a foil version of it is super awesome. It is, for those of you who don't know, because we haven't had a regular copy of it, For 1 and 2 green gets you a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast Eldritch Evolution, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacrificed creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Exile Eldritch Evolution afterwards. Now, putting it onto the battlefield is so huge, and I have a copy of this card from the previous card pools that I've been able to open and play around with before, and this card did serious work for me. It made a huge difference, but like I said, I don't have a foil version. This is really nice foil, so I'm going to set that aside and we get 2 rare foils, which is pretty cool. Checklist card, hey, and to go with Liliana, I turned to the Fonzie there for a second. Hey, we have the emblem for Liliana, and at the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombies you control. So I'll actually set that with her. This box has been really good. I've been quite happy with this box. I don't think at this point I can complain about anything, short of maybe the card spontaneously catching on fire or something in my hand. That would kind of suck, but otherwise, as far as what's inside the packs, it's pretty nice. Another Fury Blade Vampire, Nebelgast Herald, Geist of the Archives, and Sanctifier of Souls is our rare. For 3 and 1 white, gets you a 2/3 human cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Sanctifier of Souls gets +1/+1 to the end of turn. You can also pay 2 and 1 white, exile a creature card from your graveyard, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Our flip is another Villadin Pack Outcast. And hey, a bonus rare of Bruna the Fading Light, so we can now go ahead and meld these two together if we want. Bruna the Fading Light is a 7-drop, 5 and 2 white, gets you a 5/7 legendary creature angel horror. When you cast Bruna the Fading Light, you may return target angel or human creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It also has flying and vigilance, which I find strange that it says that after the text. Usually that's at the top, but okay, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And it melds into Gisela the Broken Blade, which is a 9/10, which we've seen the picture for, but now I can read what it is. It is a legendary Eldrazi angel creature. It's a 9/10. It's got flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. When your opponent can't cast spells with a converted mana cost 3 or less. And an insect token. But still just one copy of Blessed Alliance, which is, greedy for me to ask for more at this point with everything we've gotten. Shreds of Sanity, Weaver of Lightning, Subjugator Angel, which is a card I really enjoyed playing with, the little bit that I got to play with it, and Heron's Grace Champion. 4-drop, 2 and 1 green and 1 white, gets you a 3/3 human knight. It has flash, it is lifelink, and when Heron's Grace Champion enters the battlefield, other humans you control get +1/+1 and gain lifelink until the end of turn. Our flip is Grizzled Angler, and we have a spirit token along with the checklist card. Still a fair amount of packs left in this box. These openings are always such a... I try to do them all in one day, and it's such a test in my voice. My weak voice. Prying questions, unsubstantiate, spreading flames, which, man, artists who can do fire are just incredible. I'm a colorist for comics, and fire is such a hard thing at times for me to color properly. So I love it when artists are able to render fire, and it looks this amazing. And our rare is Collective Brutality. I don't think have we had a copy of this card? I don't think so yet, so I'm going to read it off anyways. It is 1 and 1 black, gets you a sorcery with Escalate. To escalate it, you discard a card. Choose one or more. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose an instant or sorcery card from it. That player discards that card. Target player gets -2/-2 until the end of turn. I said target player tonight. Target creature gets -2/-2 until the end of turn. Or target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Another Villadin Pack Outcast, which is definitely the most common one we've had. And the checklist with a tip card. That's, I think, one of the first tip cards we've had. Which is good, because I much prefer tokens. Alrighty, let's see what we got. Long Road Home, Courageous Outrider, Weaver of Lightning, and our rare is Soul Separator. Now, of the packs that I have opened previous to this, so there's always one rare that I seem to open up more often than any other rare per set. Soul Separator is that rare for me. It was the promo card from my pre-release kit. And yeah, I've opened up. Oh God, I think now I have a playset of Soul Separator. Anyways, it is a 3-drop artifact. You can pay 5, tap it, sacrifice Soul Separator, exile target creature card from your graveyard. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1. It's a spirit in addition to its other types, and it has flying. Put a black zombie creature token onto the battlefield with power equal to that card's power and toughness equal to that card's toughness. More Graph Rats, and another Mythic. Oh, excellent! That's the legendary werewolf. Now, a lot of people were somewhat disappointed because people who wanted to create a werewolf commander deck were not thrilled. They wanted something that was a lord, something that would buff werewolves within their battle on the battlefield, sort of thing, like Lord of Atlantis type of thing. However, I'm still happy to open this, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Eldritch of the Krallen Horde, sure, is a 5-drop for 3, and 1 red, 1 green gets you a 4/4 legendary human werewolf creature. When this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Eldritch of the Krallen Horde, target creature gets +4/+4 into the end of the turn. At the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Eldritch into Eldritch Uncontested Alpha. It's a 6/6 legendary werewolf creature. When this creature transforms into Eldritch Uncontested Alpha, you may have it fight target non-werewolf creature you don't control. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if player casts 2 or more spells last turn, transform Eldritch back into this dude. So yes, another Mythic, and a cool one at that, even though... And, oh, we got the emblem for her. So it's Tamayo. I'm almost certain Tamayo sounds better than Tamayo. You may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana cost. Man, you get her ultimate off. I don't know how anyone ever will come back from that if that happens to them. So let's see if we can find the Planeswalker to go along with that album. Emblem, not album. Maybe she cut an album. I don't know. It's possible. I know Travis did a little thing about hypothesizing that Liliana wants to be a rock star. Or was it Emrakul wanted to be a rock star? No, it was Emrakul wanted to be the rock star. I think Liliana wanted to be his road manager. We have Mockery of Nature, Long Road Home, Faith Unbroken, still no Blessed Alliance, and Eternal Scourge. Scourge? Yeah. For 3, you get a 3/3 Eldrazi horror creature. You may cast Eternal Scourge from exile. When Eternal Scourge becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, exile Eternal Scourge. And a Tangleclaw Werewolf, which I do remember from before. Checklist. And, oh, this is the first time I've seen the Devil token. Very cool. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. The Devils, I thought, were a cool token to be able to generate. It's a neat little take on a token creature with a bit of an extra benefit. We have Graph Harvest, just straight up murder. Deranged Whelp, and our rare is another Mythic. We got Tree of Perdition. I have no idea how many Mythics this has been so far. For 3 and a black, you get a 0/13 plant creature. It's a defender, and you can tap it, exchange target opponent's life total with Tree of Perdition's toughness. This card has so many interesting possibilities. Man, this card, I really, really love to see this card when I saw it in the previews. I'm super happy to get a copy of it. We have Ulvenwald Captive, and I don't think we've talked about this card, so just in case, it is a 2-drop, 1 and 1 green. It gets you a 1/2 Werewolf Horror. It has Defender. You can tap it to add green to your mana pool, or you can pay 5 and 2 green, transform Ulvenwald Captive into Ulvenwald Abomination, which is a 4/6 Eldrazi werewolf, which you can tap for 2 colorless to your mana pool. We have a forest and a human wizard token. And I wonder if this is going to be the end of this guy's story. The Delver of Secrets, who started so long ago, and I think he's finally found the final form. But who knows? Maybe they'll bring him back if they ever come back to Innistrad. Repel the Abominable, Markov Crusader, Mornwillow. I wish I had as many Blessed Lions as I have Mornwillow now. And Spirit of the Hunt for 1 and 2 green gets you a 3/3 Wolf Spirit with Flash. When Spirit of the Hunt enters the battlefield, each other creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf gets +0/+3 until the end of turn. And Conduit of Storms, which is a 2/3 for 3, 2 and 1 red, gets you a werewolf horror. Whenever Conduit of Storms attacks, add 1 red to your mana pool at the beginning of your next main phase. Or you can pay 3 and 2 red to transform it into Conduit of Emrakul. Emrakul? Whatever. It's a 5/4 Eldrazi werewolf. Whenever Conduit of Emrakul attacks, add 2 colors to your mana pool at the beginning of your next main phase this turn. Checklist and zombie token. This is one of the tokens artwork that they chose for the foil version that they came out with the pre-release kit. Give me 1 second. I've got to take a drink. That actually probably sounded bad. It's not like I'm not playing like a booster box drinking game, though I'm now thinking of creating a booster box drinking game. So it was just regular old Diet Coke. Actually, Diet Cherry Coke. That you don't need to know any of that, but whatever. Geist-fueled Scarecrow, which I love the Scarecrows. The art for all the Scarecrows are super cool and super creepy. Vampire Cutthroat, another copy of Ride Down, and another Crypt Breaker. This time it is the non-foiled version. So I've already read this, so I won't read it again. Another Smoldering Werewolf, and foil Plains. Excellent. Lands are so scarce with this. I'm kind of surprised I was actually able to get a foil land as well, too. Put that with the other foils. And a spider token. Still got, I think this is 9 packs left, including this one, so still a fair amount to go in this box. Hey, there we go. Keep complaining about it. Blessed Alliance. So up the total on that one. We have Shreds of Sanity, Insatiable Gorgers, and our rare is Imprisoned in the Moon. For 2 and 1 blue gets you an enchantment aura. Enchant creature, land, or planeswalker. Enchanted permanent is a colorless land with tap and add colorless to your mana pool, and loses all other card types and abilities. One of the most interesting bits of pseudo removal I've seen in a long, long time. I think it's a very, very cool design for this card. Another Villain and Pack Outcast, another checklist card, and more horror. Oop. Hope I didn't spoil anything there. Move another pile of cards over so I don't knock them over. We've got Rise from the Grave, Thirsting Axe, Hamlet Captain, and our rare is Elder Deep Fiend. For 8, you get a 5/6 Eldrazi Octopus, a wonderful combination. It's got a flash and it has a merge, which, when I heard this mechanic initially, I did not think it was that big of a deal. Having seen it played and played it myself, I'm a much bigger fan of Emerge than I was just from the previews. For those of you who know, Emerge is, you may cast this spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the Emerge cost reduced by that creature's converted mana cost. When you cast Elder Deep Fiend, tap up to 4 target permanents. And another Kessig Prowler. And a foil, Borrowed Grace. Nice. Checklist. Zombie. We have Repel the Abominable, Whispers of Emicrul, Foul Emissary, and our rare is another Mythic. Holy cow. Grim Flare for a black and a green gets you a 2/2 human warrior. It has Trample. One sec. Drinking pop while I'm doing this, not the best idea. Whenever Grim Flare deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put any number of them into your graveyard, and the rest back on top of your library in any order. Has Delirium. Grim Flare gets +2/+2 as long as there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. Ulvenwald Captive, checklist, and a tip. Sorry, I'm fussing with the cards on the other side of the off camera here. Unsubstantiate, Geist of the Lonely Vigil, Noose Constrictor, and our rare is another Identity Thief. Excellent. Super happy to get a second copy of this card, but I've already read it, so I will skip over it. More Midnight Scavengers, and more checklists. And this is the flip side of the foil zombie token. Now, I shouldn't necessarily say that. They might have gone ahead and done foil versions with all the artwork. I'm not sure if this is the only ones that got the foil treatment or not. The 2 that I pointed out. Maybe there are ones that have the flip sides of the other zombie token artwork. I don't know. If you got zombie tokens that have different artwork than the 2 I pointed out, please let me know, because I'm going to have to keep an eye out for those tokens in the future. Another Geist-Fueled Scarecrow, Fortune's Favor, Ride Down. I swear this is the 8th copy of Ride Down and only 2 Blessed Alliance. Not complaining. Great box. Spell Queller. We already got this. It's a great card. I think it's a great card. It could be a fun card to play. Happy to get another copy of it. More Graph Rats. And a Plains. And more horror. After this, we are down to just 3 packs. Just 3 packs after this one. I'll skip through the uncommon. Prying Questions, Campaign of Vengeance, Drogskull, Shieldmate. Once again, I think I pronounced that differently this time. And Impetuous Devils. It is a 4-drop for 2 and 2 red. You get a 6/1 devil creature with trample and haste. When Impetuous Devils attacks, up to 1 target creature defending player controls blocks it this combat if able. At the beginning of the end step, sacrifice Impetuous Devils. Interesting design of the card. Not super crazy about it, but still, I think it's a very, very clever design. Cryptolith Fragment. And yes, we have had a copy of this before. Another foil Plains? It was a Plains that I had before. It's not the same foil, is it? No, it's not the same foil. Man, looks beautiful. Looks beautiful as a foil. An Island and a Human Soldier. Okay, here we are, down to the last 3. A really great booster box when it comes to not just the number of Mythics, which was amazing, but the rares as well, too. I'm quite happy with the rares. And we do have 2 copies of Blessed Alliance, so I mean, you know, that's something to write home about as well, too. We have Ruthless Disposal, Blood Mist, another Vampire Cutthroat, and Stitcher's Graph. For 1, you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +3/+3. Whenever equipped creature attacks, it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Whenever Stitcher's Graph becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. Equip cost is 2. A Shrill Howler, which we've had before. Checklist. And more tips. We've had plenty of Savage Alliances, though. Savage Alliance, Prying Questions, Geist of the Archives, and our rare is Sagara's Aid. 1 white gets you an enchantment. You may cast aura and equipment spells as though they had flash. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to target creature you control. Grizzled Angler and a foil. Wow, this is 3 foil rares. Permeating Mass, which we've gotten in regular, so I've read it before, but 3 foil rares. That's really, really great. And it looks, man, these cards look so cool as a foil. A checklist card and an insect token. So pretty much the last thing that I could ever hope to get to make this any better, this box any better, would be to get Tamiyo, I believe that's the pronunciation of her name, as a Planeswalker. I think the odds, given everything we've had, are pretty low of that happening. Mockery of Nature, Nephalia Academy, Foul Emissary, and our final rare from this final pack of our booster box of Eldritch Moon is Stormkirk Occultist. For 2 and 1 red, gets you a 3/2 Vampire Horror. It's got Trample. Whenever Stormkirk Occultist deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of turn, you may play that card. It also has madness cost of 1 and a red. Our flip is Ulvenwald Captive. Got more checklists. And finish off with a zombie token. I'm going to do a recap right now. So here are the highlights of what we pulled in this booster box. For Mythics, we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, because remember, this is a copy of Gisela, including Liliana, which is great. We got the emblems for Liliana and for Tamiyo. We have 3 foil rares, including an Eldritch Evolution foil, which is great, an additional 5 foils, so 8 foils in total, 2 copies of Blessed Alliance, which is the card I was looking for. So yeah, this was a really, really great booster box for us. And of course, we got a whole host of other really cool rares, including Spell Queller and another copy of Harmless Offering, which is really becoming one of my favorite cards that they've come out with as far as design in a very, very long time. So in addition to the booster box opening, we will have a fat pack opening in a few days' time. There's obviously, well, I mean, there's less packs, so there's no way it could possibly even come close to topping this booster box. However, I do want to try to hold out hope, even though it is a little bit greedy, I fully admit, that maybe I'll pull a Tamiyo Planeswalker from the fat pack. Still, given how we've done here, I can't complain if I don't, so I'm just going to be happy basically with whatever I get. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comments, if you just want to let me know what cool pulls you got in your packs, please let me know in the comments section below. Also, you can follow and contact us directly on Twitter. It is at BrainPulpTV, or you can follow and contact me personally on Twitter at Geek Tragedy. And now that all that is said, take care, everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It means a lot to us here. May all your pulls be mythics, and I'll see you all very soon.